All right. My mom told me. My mom told me. So yeah, I was just talking ish the first part. But as you're joining, please make sure that you like. Who enjoyed that speech last night? Who enjoyed that amazing speech last night? A lot of y'all, we got to tap in and watch it together. So that was cool. Yo, Trump is one of a kind, man. Donald Trump is one of a kind. I have no idea, what he was talking about, how it was relevant to the things that we actually want to hear about. It was entertaining. It was too long. It was deflecting. It was it was Trump, baby. But as you're joining, please make sure that you like. Make sure that you like as you're joining. We want to get as many different people in the building as possible. We need to hear from as many different perspectives. We got to figure this out, right? We got to figure this out. The State of the Union, I don't know if I was expecting anything. It probably, if I had to expect anything, it was probably exactly what we got. I didn't expect him to talk about Epstein. I didn't expect him to. I was hoping that he talked more about Iran. I thought that he should address, ICE specifically in Minneapolis, what's going on there. He did bring up Maduro, but he even referred to Venezuela as our partner. Venezuela is now our partner. Yeah, they when you extort somebody and you force them to give their natural resources to you, yeah, we just partners. We just partners. France, Haiti, we just partners. France and these African nations that got to send them their natural resources and then buy it back from them. We're just partners. So it was it was very interesting to say the least. Very interesting to say the least. But let's get into it. Shout out to Samira tapping in. The birds are chirping here. Bubble said, nice, still dark here. Shout out to Big Bro Steve. The condition of your ego is directly proportional to the condition of your heart. Wow, I like that. I like that. The condition of your ego is directly proportional to the condition of your heart. I like that a lot. I like that. Who said, where are you, Alaska? Bubbles is West Coast. I think Bubbles is, where'd you say you're at? Bubbles, Arizona, I believe. I believe Bubbles is West Coast. All right. Yeah, I'm ready for summer too. Shout out to Finn, Big Bro Finn in the building. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If the path was easy, you wouldn't evolve. The Honorable Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If the path was easy, you wouldn't evolve. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Never value anything as profitable, which compels you to break your word or lose your self-respect. Truth over comfort, integrity over applause. This reminds me of the whole, yeah, it's just business. When people say it's just business, yeah, I violated you, but yo, don't worry about it. Just don't take it personal. It's just business. Never value anything as profitable, which compels you to break your word or lose your self-respect. Truth over comfort, integrity over applause. Love that. Love that. Samir said, I just got a new shipment of candle supplies and I'm in the process of registering my business. So I'm ready to go live, y'all. Let's get it, Samira. Let's get it. And let's get some of your products on the OG Network store. We got a couple things up there. I gotta wear some of the t-shirts that we're selling up there. But we got the t-shirts, we got the mugs. I guess I should be using the mugs, right? Just to show y'all. Like that's what people do, right? They get on there like, yo, you can get this mug, you can get this what's the cups that Candace Owens had? The Standish cups, the Stanley cups, or whatever she called them, Standish cups. But yeah, Samira, let us know. But definitely congratulations on that. And if you need help with your LLC, let me know. Let me know if you need help with any of that. I'm sure I can help out in some way. I've done a few LLCs and helped a couple people. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I just want to make sure that I'm catching everybody. I want to make sure that I'm catching everybody, showing love. Blue Lawn, what's up, Blue Lawn? Grand Rising, Grand Rising. So Finn was loving Trump yesterday. Look at it. It was a crap piece of reality TV circus. That is a fact. Shout out to Critical in the building. What's up, Randy? Critical was in the building with us yesterday. He was in the building. Oh man. Bubble said I dozed off for a minute in the speech. Sorry, nah, don't apologize. I was ready to get out of there. I told y'all, I kept saying, yo, I got like 10 more minutes in me. I got 15 more minutes in me. And then I set a hard deadline at 11. And I think he ended up stopping at 10:59. I remember my mom texting me. She was like, listen, he said he's going to talk a while. He's got a lot to discuss. So he may end up going till midnight. As soon as she texted me that, that's when he started wrapping it up. So yeah. Samira said the economy is bad. And I heard he gave a shout out to Indiana. Nobody here likes our new governor. That's all lies. And gas here where I live, almost $3 a gallon. And that was just recent. So he lies. Yeah. And shoot. Sounds like your gas is a lot cheaper than other spots. I'm trying to think what gas is here. Well, I guess it's around the same, like just under $3, sometimes over $3, but I think it's just under. Can I just say I much prefer the original stream? Oh, you guys prefer this one? All right, this may be it. It's a little easier for me. I'll be just being real, but I just felt like the other one was a little bit better. Like it just gave a little bit more freedom. But hey, we'll be here as long as everybody can be in the chat. The one thing that I was having an issue with, I think yesterday, is that a lot of people weren't seeing the entire chat. But it looks like we'll be here, especially when it's not just me. So I don't know if Glay is going to be on a little bit later. But when it's not just me, this one works a lot easier. So yeah. Let's see. Try to be in and out cooling for seniors at Center today. Cheers. Are you gonna be oh yeah, dope. You're gonna be helping. I think if I'm reading that correctly. Try to be in and out cooling for seniors at Center today. Cheers. All right, yeah. Enjoy that. Definitely. I don't know if you're going to I guess you're going to like a senior citizens home, maybe like a nursing home or I forget what they call them. Extended living facilities. I don't know. But I used to love going to see family at those homes. It's unfortunate that, some people don't get treated well at a lot of those homes. And, the goal is to always make sure that you can, or to try to create a situation where your family can hopefully live with you guys, or live with you as a family. But when I used to go to some of those homes to visit family, I swear, man, talking to older people that are in those homes, they just speak their mind. You may get one of those little Michael B. Jordan moments. Didn't Michael B. Jordan have a moment where somebody apparently had Tourette's and was screaming out the N-word? Yeah, you get it. I've had one or two of those, but it's literally one or two of those. It's like Brandon Tatum, right? We went over to Israel, but we only got spit on once. Like it wasn't a big deal. It was only one. But it wasn't. You get people that just speak what's on their mind, and you have some interesting conversations, and they actually really appreciate, you being there and spending time with them and talking to them. And yeah, shoot, I had some of my best friends at those homes, man. I used to look forward to going there. So yeah, neither here nor there. What did Finn say? It was so funny. I went to walk the Huskies. When I came back, you and BK looked like you'd had the life drained out of you. Yo, what's wild is you came back exactly when it was like, okay, now he was talking about a whole bunch of stuff, giving out awards. And then when you came back, it seemed like, okay, he was getting ready to, talk about something that we were actually anticipating. But then he went right back to, whatever else he was doing. So yeah. Okay, the senior center. Yeah, VFW. Oh yeah. You were saying that you were talking about VFW yesterday. You were saying that they helped out with getting you guys the building or something. You were saying. I'm not sure that I'm recalling correctly, but yeah, I love old folks, man. I love old folks, man. They just keep it real. They tell you what's on their mind, and they it's always funny. Like they're not trying to be funny, but it's just funny in its own way. All right, so let's get into it. We got a lot to cover, so I don't want to waste any more time. But we have the Democrat response. So I have a couple different videos where there's a fact checking video that I have, from Scripps. But let's watch the actual Democratic response first, and then we'll get into the fact checking. Perhaps y'all know how it goes. Who knows where to go? I'm not sure if we're gonna watch the full 12-minute and 55-second video, 56-second video of Abigail Spanberger speaking. Let me bring this up on the screen. And somebody actually let me know. Hold on. Who is actually? Let's actually look up, or somebody in the background. Can you let us know who Abigail Spanberger is? She's the lady that did the response. I'm not familiar with her. This is my first time seeing her. So rather than me delaying y'all anymore with this video, somebody, if you can, write it in the chat. If not, I'll write it after I put up the video. All right, so let's begin.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oh, why is the quality? What's up with this quality? Oh, it's the best quality. Hold on. I don't like this quality. Abigail Spanberger. Actually, let me go on YouTube. It may be a little bit better on YouTube. I didn't like the quality of that. 380 or 360. Abigail Spanberger. Let's see if YouTube has a better one. All right. That sounded terrible. All right, here we go. Oh, this is the Virginia governor. Okay, all right. That's cool. All right, we're going to share this instead. All right, let's get to it.
We are gathered here in the chambers of the House of Burgesses. In 1705, the people of the Virginia colony gathered here to take on the extraordinary task of governing themselves. Before there was a Declaration of Independence, a Constitution, or a Bill of Rights, there were people in this room.
What's up, Uncle
The
Wade?
people who served here ultimately dreamed of what a new nation, unlike anything the world had ever seen, could be. The United States was founded on the idea that ordinary people could reject the unacceptable excesses of poor leadership, band together to demand better of their government, and create a nation that would be an example for the world.
And this was the response that I had. I already watched a couple minutes of it, like in the background when I was in the shower. But everything she says from here on out, like, there's just something that Trump has, regardless of what either one of them are saying. And I'm sorry to interrupt it so early, but it's not believable. It's not entertaining. It doesn't hit the same. Like, Trump's lies are. Let me get to the video. My apologies. I shouldn't have interrupted. Let me just get back to the video. It's just phony. This is the old politics. Like, bro, just speak. Like, just speak. Like, just speak regularly. Like, it doesn't.
And this year, as we celebrate 250 years since America declared our independence from tyranny, I can think of no better place to speak to you as we reflect on the current state of our union. Tonight, as we watched our nation's lawmakers gather for a joint session of Congress, we did not hear the truth from our president. So let's speak plainly and honestly. And let me ask you, the American people watching at home, 3 questions. Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? Is the president working to keep Americans safe both at home and abroad? Is the president working for you? As I campaigned for governor last year, I traveled to every corner of Virginia, and I heard the same pressing concern everywhere. Costs are too high in housing, healthcare, energy, and childcare. And I know these same conversations are being had all across this country. Because since this president took office last year, his reckless trade policies have forced American families to pay more than $1,700 each in tariff costs. Small businesses have suffered, farmers have suffered, some losing entire markets. Everyday Americans are paying the price. And even though the Supreme Court struck these tariffs down 4 days ago, the damage to us, the American people, has already been done. Meanwhile, the president is planning for new tariffs, another massive tax hike on you and your family. And Republicans in Congress, they remain unwilling to assert their constitutional authority to stop him.
I know I was on mute. Let me interrupt it right there. This is the thing. When it comes to Trump, he set himself up for failure when it comes to the tariffs, in my opinion. When we either want, like, we can't get everything that we want. If we want to have less importing, less relying on other countries for our goods, right? If we want to rely less on them, and they may, let's say in certain places throughout the country, they may be able to charge their workers, or pay their workers, I should say, slave labor, right? They may be able to have them at the sweat factories, sweatshops, whatever they're called, and pretty much pay them pennies compared to what Americans are paying their workers. So if we want things to be made in America because we want more jobs in America, then we're going to have to create something where we're taxing the companies overseas that are bringing in their stuff. So we have to tax them and incentivize more people to have companies, businesses in America. This is something similar to what I remember Trump saying this when he was at a John Deere event, and John Deere was moving a lot of their factories to Mexico at the time, or moving one of their factories to Mexico. And Trump was upset, and he said, yo, we're going to charge y'all a high tariff if you are taking the work from Americans and giving it to Mexicans, and then going to be selling your products to America. So if you have tariffs on other companies that are making products outside of America, that company now has the decision to where they can protect their profit and pass off the extra cost that they have to pay now onto the consumer, or they can eat that. Now, what it also does is it allows American products who can't compete with the products that are being made outside the country, because they're making theirs at sweatshops where they don't have to pay the same amount to Americans. So it allows the American products now to compete with a lot of those products, but American consumers are going to have to pay more. What happens is we've continued to kick the can down the road with this. It's like people sold us out when they got rid of our factories, when they got rid of all the businesses here, and now we rely so much on importing goods. We already sold out. We sold the people out. So we got caught up in paying less based on things that we can import. But what we did was we gave up our entire economy. Now we're just in an economy full of consumers. We're just buyers. We're not selling as much as we used to sell to our own people, because we're relying so much on having, oh, we want cheaper this, cheaper that. Well, we can't produce those products for the same cheap cost that other countries can. So Trump set himself up for failure by saying, we're going to lower costs, and we're going to have this, and we're going to have that. Now, he should explain it and do a better job of explaining exactly what these tariffs are. Now, not even if he explains it well, there's certain people that are just still going to not agree with it, because they have this Trump derangement syndrome. They're on the Democratic side. Everything Trump says is bad, even though many Democrats have been calling for this for years. Nancy Pelosi was up speaking about this years ago. So a lot of Democrats understand this, but because it's Trump saying it, and because Trump misled us a little bit when it comes to that, or he made a promise that he couldn't keep himself, because Trump can't control whether these companies are going to pass off the cost to Americans or just leave the cost as what it is. Now, I'm talking specifically about tariffs with this stuff. Now, we can't have everything. If we want stuff made in America, then we're going to have to pay American prices. If you want to eat at Ruth's Chris, then you're going to pay more than you pay eating at McDonald's. It just is what it is. The product costs more. So we have to figure out exactly what we want to do when it comes to this. Do we want the factories? Because there's going to be a point in time, or a certain length of time, where we're going to have to absorb those extra costs with understanding like, okay, this at least allows American businesses to do better, allows American companies to compete. It incentivizes a lot of other companies that may be having their factories outside of America. It incentivizes them to have their factories in America. So at least, even if it's a foreign company, at least they're hiring American workers. So that's kind of where my mind goes on it. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
They're making your life harder. They're making your life more expensive. They're even making it more difficult to see a doctor. Rural health clinics in Virginia and across the country are already closing their doors thanks to the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, championed by the president and Republicans in Congress. And tonight, the president celebrated this law, the one threatening rural hospitals, stripping healthcare from millions of Americans and driving up costs in energy and housing, all while cutting food programs for hungry kids. But here in Virginia, I am working with our state legislature to lower costs and make the Commonwealth more affordable. And it's not just me. Democrats across the country are laser focused on affordability in our nation's capital and in state capitals and communities across America. In the most innovative and exceptional nation in the history of the world, Americans deserve to know that their leaders are focused on addressing the problems that keep them up at night. Problems that dictate where you live, whether you can afford to start a business or whether you have to skip a prescription in order to buy groceries.
This is the thing. This is what's so funny. Vaughn said they hated Obama so much and y'all fell for it. This is what happens. Vaughn's, these same issues were here when Democrats were in office. And you may be getting ready to hear some stuff with healthcare that actually contradicts what you're saying or what she's saying. And this is with the fact checkers, because we're going to use Scripps, who is supposed to be, pretty much, non-biased. But this is what happens. Democrats would rather be in this position. That's what it seems like to me. And maybe Republicans would as well. But it seems like both political parties would rather be in the place where we're not in power. So therefore, we can just complain about certain things. We can just complain about what they're doing. We have no plans of actually doing anything ourselves. We don't have to fix anything. We'd rather be in a position of complaining. When it comes to the border, which I believe she's going to speak on, the Democrats want to complain about how Donald Trump is handling the border, and Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and we want to talk about them and we want to highlight them as heroes and all these other things, and that's perfectly fine. But what we should also highlight is the fact that we let all of these illegal migrants into the country and don't have the infrastructure to take care of it. So while she's talking about the high cost, perhaps we should also factor in that we have to pay for a lot of these illegal migrants when they come in. We're paying for their housing. We're paying for their food. We're paying for their education. We're paying for all the social programs that they get, even though they came here illegally at high numbers that our country could not afford to bring them in at. But all Vaughn's and the Democrats care about is, oh yeah, Trump bad, Democrat good. This is what happens when it comes to politics. This is what happens. If you can't see the BS on both sides, then you're caught up in the system. If you can't see the BS on both sides, you're caught up in the system. You're caught up in the system. Like it's Obamacare works. Who does it work for, Vance? Who does it work for? Does it work for certain people? Perhaps. Does it not work for other people? Perhaps. Does it force people to pay certain things? I'll tell you what, Vance, you're in healthcare. You're EMS or EMT, I believe. You know who I've heard I've had a lot of friends speaking out about Obamacare. A lot of doctors that I work with, surgeons, from neurosurgeons, orthopedic surgeons, pain surgeons. I work with a lot of doctors. A lot of them are now speaking out, talking about Obamacare, that they were sold a lie, that Obamacare was sold and they were actually the ones that were pushing it, promoting it. And now they realize that, hey, this is actually the worst thing possible. See, you may think Obamacare is working for you, but you may be looking at it from one point of view without understanding the other side of it. Because a lot of these doctors that I work with that were Democrat and were supporting Barack Obama's Obamacare, they're not for it anymore. So It may be good for certain people, may not be good for others. But when you only look at politics through a lens that, hey, I'm Democrat, so therefore I'm just going to be everything Democrat good, or I'm Republican, everything Republican good, this is what messes everybody up. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Where we at?
So I'll ask again. Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? We all know the answer is no. I grew up in a house of service. My mother was a nurse and my father was.
This is the what does disadvantage mean? What does disadvantage mean? This is the victimhood. This is the victimhood of Democrats. Disadvantaged? What are you disadvantaged? Like, what makes somebody disadvantaged? See, this is where the real racism comes out. What makes somebody disadvantaged? That's how people look at you, Bonds. When they look at Black people, you're disadvantaged. We need to provide you some aid. We need to provide you a social program. We know you can't handle it on your own. You're disadvantaged. What does disadvantage mean? Democrats are always talking about disadvantage. What makes somebody disadvantaged? That you grew up without money? Go get some money. Figure it out. You're living in America. Just like people come over here not even speaking the language and they're able to figure it out, you can figure it out. It's funny how those people you would look at, they can't even speak the language and you would think that they're disadvantaged. But somehow they come here and they outperform Black people. Because you think that you're disadvantaged. You put this in your mind. You allow Democrats like her, white liberals like her, you allow them to convince you that you are a disadvantaged nigga, and therefore you move through life just like it. Something just came out with Hunter College. Hunter College, this lady came out and speaking, and a lot of people, one of the professors got caught on a hot mic, and we may play that video a little bit later, where she was saying like Black people, she actually referenced an MLK speech that I don't think was an actual MLK speech, but she said something like, yeah, Black people, like MLK said something about Black people being taught and they'll just end up going to the back of the bus. Like they can be conditioned to just go to the back of the bus. This is the same type of mindset that Democrats, that liberals have created. This is why Malcolm X warned us that Democrats, there's nothing more dangerous than a white liberal. This is what Malcolm X was saying, because it gets your mind believing that you are a disadvantaged, less than type of person, and therefore you carry that with you through society and act accordingly. Just my opinion, maybe not. Maybe y'all see it differently. Let's keep going.
The career law enforcement officer. I began my career by following in.
So hold on. This is, and I'm sorry, y'all know I love Vons. Vons is always going to give me a good Democratic talking point. Growing up in poverty does not mean you're disadvantaged. That means your people probably didn't make certain decisions that they needed to do to not be in poverty. Growing up in poverty does not mean that you're disadvantaged. That is something that you convince yourself, as if you growing up in poverty is somebody else's fault, or it's the white man holding you back. No, it's the decisions that you made or your parents made to put you in that poverty situation. Growing up in poverty, disadvantaged. A lot of people would see it on the flip side. See, this is what, let me break this down for y'all. My old mentor, he actually broke this down for me. Grew up in poverty. And he said that him growing up in poverty was actually an advantage, that he was able to use that other people not growing up in poverty, they didn't go through the same type of things. They didn't have the same type of inspiration to get out of that situation. What do people typically do when they get money? They get comfortable. Right? When you start winning, whether on a football team or whether in life, you get comfortable. You start to, I don't have to do that as much. What did Marvin Hagler say? It's hard to wake up and train when you're sleeping on $1,000 satin sheets or something like that, silk sheets, satin sheets, whatever. That is a disadvantage to him. That he acknowledged. He actually saw it as an advantage when he was hungry, when he was poor. But it's whatever you put in your mind. If you put in your mind that you are at a disadvantage, then you're only going to focus on the glass being half empty. But if you put in your mind like, yo, me growing up in poverty, how can that person who grew up rich, how can that person who grew up wealthy, who grew up with all these different advantages that somebody like Vons would say, how can they compete with me? How can they want to do better than me? all these different things. So it's whatever you decide to embrace. That's usually what determines the outcome of your life in a lot of these situations. Growing up in poverty, miss me with that. You're not disadvantaged. You're not disadvantaged. You probably, what has happened when it comes to Black people in these social programs, you fell in love with the poverty because all the social programs that come along with it. You convince yourself that you can't climb out of that. You tell yourself that only Democrats can save me, that I can only save myself by voting Democrat instead of getting your ass up and figuring it out for yourself. That's what I see. Maybe I'm off though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's keep going.
My father's footsteps as a federal agent working money laundering and narcotics cases. I work side by side with local and state police to keep our communities safe and to uphold and enforce the law. Law enforcement officers across the country know that it is a unique responsibility to do the serious work of investigating.
Yo, this is, I gotta use it. I love this. This is gold. Vaughn said, no, life happens. That is what a victim, that is the mindset of a punk, that life happens. Life doesn't happen to me. The outcome of my life is going to be what life happens and what I did, how I responded to it. Life doesn't happen to me. What type of sucker ass energy is that? You're supposed to be the leader of your family, the leader of your village. And life happens to you? People are not blessed like who? Blessed like me? Blessed like me? Vons, what did your parents, what was your parents' upbringing? What were your parents' upbringing? My dad was, see, this is the difference in mindset. This is the difference in mindset. That's what it was. You're right, I am blessed. I'm blessed that I did not grow up with a mindset of a victim mentality. My grandparents were sharecroppers, Vons. That's another term for slaves. My dad was the youngest of 9 kids, the only one not born on a sharecropping farm. And he became an attorney. So miss me with, and grew up piss poor in the Bronx. And he became an attorney. So when you start talking all this disadvantaged shit and life happens to people, my dad could have easily grew up and said, yo, life just happened to me. I grew up in the South Bronx. He could have had every excuse to be a bum. Every excuse to be a bum. Every excuse to turn to some type of street life that, oh, well, I ain't got no other opportunities out here. But he decided that that was not good enough for him. So therefore, you're right. I am blessed because I didn't grow up with this victimhood mindset that a lot of niggas grow up with. So don't tell me, oh, life happens to you. No, life happens to you. Life doesn't happen to me. I figure shit out. So there's a difference here. Let's keep it moving.
Crimes, comforting victims, and making arrests. It's about building trust. And that requires an abiding sense of duty and commitment to community. And yet, our president has sent poorly trained federal agents into our cities, where they have arrested and detained American citizens and people who aspire to be Americans. And they have done it without a warrant. They have ripped nursing mothers away from their babies. They have sent children, a little boy in a blue bunny hat, children to far-off detention centers, and they have killed American citizens in our streets. And they have done it all with their faces masked from accountability. Every minute.
Speaking of accountability, since she mentioned it, everything that she said about ICE, I don't disagree with. I don't disagree with what she said about ICE. Now, actually, that's a lie. I do disagree with. She's painting a narrative, even with that kid. She's painting a certain narrative where it's not all 100% accurate, but cool. Let's just say that I agree with everything that she just said. When you talk about accountability, are you going to talk about the accountability of the fact that why we even have a illegal migration problem to the extent that we have it? Because it's always been an issue. It's been an issue for a very long time. But people got mad when Trump said build the wall, right? I was one of them. I thought it was racist. But then I started looking at older videos and seeing that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, they had said the same things. But it was only a problem when Trump said it. And then I started to look at, well, how did all these illegal migrants come in here under Joe Biden? So when we're talking about accountability, are we going to also take accountability for how the problem actually got here? Or are we only going to take accountability when it's calling our opposition and the bad things out that they did. Because accountability should work both ways, right? It shouldn't just be externally, it should be internal as well. But I don't know, maybe y'all are seeing it different than me. Let me know.
And sowing fear is a minute not spent investigating murders, crimes against children, or the criminals defrauding seniors of their life savings. Our president told us tonight that we are safer because these agents arrest mothers and detain children. Think about that. Our broken immigration system is something to be fixed, not an excuse for unaccountable agents to terrorize our communities. After working in law enforcement, I continued my career of service as a CIA officer, working undercover to protect the United States and our allies from global threats, terrorism, nuclear weapons, and the aggression of adversarial nations around the globe.
What's so funny is that she probably thought that was like a flex, like saying you worked for the CIA. Like, I don't know if in these days and times, that's the flex that she thinks it is. It's almost like, oh, you work for them? Like, oh. Instead, she's like celebrating it. I don't know if that's a flex right now. I work for the FBI. I work for the CIA. Okay, should we believe you less now, or should we believe you more? I'm a little confused here.
But as the president spoke of his perceived successes tonight, he continues to cede economic power and technological strength to Russia, bow down to China, bow down to a Russian dictator, and make plans for war with Iran. Here's the truth. Over the last year, through Doge, mass fire.
Hold on. Let me make sure. Did she say Israel in that? Because if she said Israel, I'm gonna clap.
China, bow down to a successes tonight. He continues to cede economic power and technological strength to Russia, bow down to China, bow down to a Russian dictator, and make plans for war with Iran.
I don't know about him bowing down to Putin. I don't know about him bowing down to China. And this is a perfect example of how we know who controls our government. If we took a poll right now of who Donald Trump is bowing down to, and there was Israel on there, it was China, and there was Putin, who would we say that Donald Trump is bowing down to? But see, this is how you know, and this is when we track that AIPAC money, how we looked at certain industries or organizations, they put money behind both of these parties, behind both candidates, Democrats and Republicans. She mentioned that Donald Trump is bowing down to China and Putin and failed to mention that bowing down to Israel, because that is who is controlling our government right now. That is who's controlling our government. If she mentioned Israel and showed that she wasn't scared to mention Israel in that way, then I would give her some credit. But let's be clear, when it comes to who's having control over our government and why Donald Trump's presidency so far is a failure, it's because of his bowing down to Israel. Just from my perspective. If it wasn't that, I don't think that we'd see his presidency as much of a failure. It's him bowing down to Israel in a lot of different ways. But she didn't mention that because she knows that Israel controls her party just like it controls Donald Trump.
Here's the truth. Over the last year, through Doge, mass firings, and the appointment of deeply unserious people to our nation's most serious positions, our president has endangered the long and storied history of the United States of America being a force for good. So I'll ask again, is the president working to keep Americans safe, both at home and abroad? We all know the answer is no. In his speech tonight, the president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another, neighbor against neighbor. And sometimes—
I agree. But then it goes back to that accountability word. She does the same thing. She's doing the same thing. Democrats have done the same thing. The same exact thing. It was a Democratic decision to not go out and protect Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Are we even going to look at it from that standpoint? Why weren't the police officers out there with ICE? They refused to go out there with ICE, right? They refused to protect the people. Perhaps those political officials, the mayor and governor, Waltz, and I forget the mayor's name, perhaps they put their ego ahead of their people's safety. So when she's going on with all this rambling, talking about is Donald Trump making the country safer, your police didn't even show up. If ICE is so bad, then your police should have been showing up. Like I've seen police in other areas. I saw NYPD police officers challenging ICE. Like, nah, y'all not getting away with that. Why weren't the police there in a lot of these instances? They decided to not show up. Why? Because they wanted this chaos. Everything that they got in Minneapolis, the Democrats wanted to happen. They wanted that to happen. The police could have worked with them and should have worked with them, and it is your duty to work with them, especially when you think that they're up to no good. But they weren't there to protect Renee Good and Alex Preddy. But we only look at one aspect of it. I got it.
He succeeds. And so you have to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his policies, his actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress? Somebody must be benefiting. He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting...
And what did we say? I didn't even know this. Shout out to Critical. Abigail has received $88,000 in contributions attributed to American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, during her congressional career from 2017 to 2024. If somebody gave you $100,000, you probably speak favorably about them, right? A lot of us, we getting half of that. And we go into jobs every day that we can't stand, smiling to bosses that we can't stand, working with people that we can't stand in close quarters. People with bad hygiene, people with, oh yeah, we're working with all those people for half of that $100,000. And that's before taxes are taken out a lot of us, right? So let's not act like it. I could just tell by her speaking. I had no idea the amount of money that she got from AIPAC. But this is why she decided to conveniently leave Israel out of that list, where Donald Trump is clearly being controlled by Israel more than anybody else. But this is the games that we play. This is the game that we're in, right? Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
His name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
And that's another good point. Samira, I don't know if she's going to bring it up, but we definitely noticed that Donald Trump didn't bring up the Epstein files. Let's see if she pushes for it. Because a lot of Democrats have tried to criticize Donald Trump for not releasing the Epstein files. Democrats could have released the Epstein files. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could have released this. They could have released all the files. All of the files. The only reason why the files are getting released now is because of Donald Trump and his team. Now, a lot of y'all may hear that and think that Donald Trump wanted to do it. No. Donald Trump tried to not release the files. But the only reason why they're getting released is because Donald Trump and his team, when they were running for the election, when they were campaigning, that's what they were pushing. That's what everybody was pushing on his team. Donald Trump Jr., that's what Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all of them were pushing for this release of the Epstein files. Then when they got in office, they tried to act like they didn't exist. They did the same thing that the Democrats have been doing. But what I see now is a lot of Democrats coming out and have the nerve to criticize Donald Trump regarding the Epstein files when Joe Biden could have released them. Now, to me, it does make it worse when you up there talking about releasing them and then you don't release them. But we have to be clear when it comes to this. Joe Biden and the Democrats could have released the Epstein files. They decided not to. You decide why. I don't know why.
So I'll ask again, is the president working for you? We all know the answer is no.
Oh, hold on. I must have missed it. Samira said she mentioned it. Hold on.
Challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against.
I must have missed it. I'm sorry to go back, but I want to hear what she said on it because I must have missed
Our president has endangered the long and storied history of the United States of America being a force for good. So I'll ask again, is the president working to keep Americans safe from global threats, terrorism, nuclear weapons, and the aggression of adversarial nations around the globe? But as the president spoke of his perceived successes tonight, he continues to cede economic power and technological strength to Russia, bow down to China, bow down to a Russian dictator, and make plans for war with Iran. Here's the truth. Over the last year, through DOGE, mass firings, and the appointment of deeply unserious people to our nation's most serious positions, our president has endangered the long and storied history of the United States of America being a force for good. So I'll ask again, is the president working to keep Americans safe, both at home and abroad? We all know the answer is no. In his speech tonight, the president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another, neighbor against neighbor. And sometimes he succeeds. And so you have to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his policies, his actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress? Somebody must be benefiting. He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all.
So disingenuous. And that's why she just mentioned it very briefly. So disingenuous. The cover-up of the Epstein files without addressing the fact that your side covered it up. Without addressing your side covered it up. And what has been in the Epstein files regarding Trump? I don't know if y'all remember, there was a debate that Trump had with Hillary a while ago. This is when, this is obviously when he was going against her. And I remember Donald Trump brought a victim that Bill Clinton allegedly harassed. I think he brought her to the debate or something like that. And he was exposing, it was wild. I look back at it maybe last week or something like that. And I was like, damn, I do not remember that. Or as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, damn, I did not remember that. And then he was exposing these things. And this is while Hillary was still, what was she, Secretary of State, I believe. And I remember somebody saying, if Hillary, they had the files, I believe, at this time. But I believe that somebody was almost kind of insinuating that if Hillary had something on Donald Trump, or if the Democrats had something on Donald Trump, if the Epstein files had something on Donald Trump, that they would have released them a lot earlier, or they would have at least brought up certain things about Donald Trump being involved in something like that. Because Donald Trump completely exposed Bill Clinton, who he now is seems like he's trying to cover stuff up for. Yeah. And so that was always just strange to me. That was strange to me. Maybe I'll go back and find that clip because I'm not sure that I'm recalling it 100% accurately. But that was always something. That was always something. But let's just be clear. There's the Democrats in this thing, which is why Bill and Hillary playing games with whether they're going to, speak on the Epstein files, and Republicans. But Democrats, they will use this to speak to people like Vons, and to have Vons and people like that running around saying Trump covered up the Epstein files without taking any accountability of the fact that the person that you voted for covered it up as well. Both covered it up.
Over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
And shout out to Dutch, man. You know that that goes a long way. It goes a long way. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. And appreciate you consistently tapping in and always giving us, something to think about, especially which Dutch is the reason why we don't say elite anymore. We just call them oligarchs. Just oligarchs, or evil oligarchs. Yeah, you got to use both. All right. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
So I'll ask again, is the president working for you? We all know the answer is no. But here's the special thing about America. On our 250th anniversary, we know better than any nation what is possible when ordinary citizens, like those who once dreamed right here in this room, reject the unacceptable and demand more of their government. We see it in the determination of students organizing school walkouts all across the country, whose voices are becoming so powerful that the governor of Texas seeks to silence them. We see it in the bravery of Americans in Minnesota standing up for their communities, from peacefully protesting in sub-zero temperatures to carpooling children to school so that their immigrant parents are not ripped away from them in the parking lot.
And see, this is why things can never get solved, man. She's sitting up here talking about peacefully protesting. Now, anybody that's seen the video of Alex Preddy before he was killed, murdered, because that's what I believe it was, as of now. But before that, what did the video come out? That was not a peaceful protest. And we know that a lot of these protests, and whether it's paid activists, paid protesters, all of this stuff it's not peaceful when you're kicking an ICE agent's car. It's not peaceful when you're trying to spit on the car, whatever Alex Preddy was doing. You got to be able to call out the bad in both, and not just approach it from, okay, what is my team? What is my gang? What is my political gang? How do they want me to say it? I came out when both of those situations happened and said, yo, that's murder. That's cold-blooded murder. Matter of fact, I think the thumbnail actually said cold-blooded murder. I believe that was on Renee's, and Alex Preddy's actually may have been even worse in a lot of ways. I mean, not to compare, well, that murder was worse than that murder, but I remember seeing it and having that feeling. And I said that the cold-blooded murder with Renee Good. So I can call that out. It's not a problem. But also acting as if, those are peaceful protests and encouraging people to act like fools, because that's what Alex Preddy was acting like in the video of him kicking the police car and kicking the light out of the car. You're acting like a fool. And the problem with it, and even what a lot of other people had a problem with and not had a problem with, is now you're incentivizing more of those type of protests. Because ICE did it in such a dumb way, and because they dropped the ball, now you're encouraging people when law enforcement is doing something or when something's occurring. Now people just go out there and protest, kick police cars, whatever else. And that's just going to lead to just more chaos that doesn't actually get stuff done. None of that stuff gets stuff done. Let's keep it. Well, but the protest actually did get stuff done because they got Trump and them up out of there because they were moving like such idiots with ICE.
As a mother of 3 school-aged daughters, I am inspired by their bravery, but I am sickened that it is necessary. And Americans across the country are taking action. They are going to the ballot box to reject this chaos. With their votes, they are writing a new story, a more hopeful story. In November, I won my election by 15 points. And we won 13 new seats in our state legislature. Because voters decided they wanted something different. Our campaign earned votes from Democrats, Republicans, independents, and everyone in between, because they knew as citizens they could demand more, that they could vote for what they believe matters, and that they didn't need to be constrained by a party or political affiliation. This is happening across the country. New Jersey elected Mikey Sherrill as governor in a double-digit victory. Democrats flip state legislative seats in places like Georgia, Iowa, Mississippi, and Texas. The list goes on and on.
And what is it doing? What is it doing? What are y'all going to have more boys playing sports against girls? Like, what exactly are you doing? What is the Democratic message right now? Like, what exactly are you doing? What did you do? What did Joe Biden accomplish? She'll get up in here and talk about, well, what I wish she would have talked about specifically when it comes to Israel, even though she didn't mention anything between Israel and Palestine. That's pretty actually strange, huh? Recent genocide happening right now. She mentions China. She mentions Russia. Doesn't mention Bibi Netanyahu. That's interesting. She's mentioning all of these other things, but fails to bring up the fact that we're watching a genocide happen right in front of us. But she's picking and choosing what she's responding to.
Georgia, Iowa, Mississippi, and Texas, the list goes on and on. Ordinary Americans are stepping up to run in the spirit of our forefathers.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris never even asked for a ceasefire. They never asked for a ceasefire, to my knowledge. And it was reported they didn't push back on it, to my knowledge. Think about that. You're complaining about Trump and the no new wars, and you should be complaining about Trump. And anybody that watched our stream when we played Trump's video yesterday, we were ripping Trump just as much as I'm ripping her now, maybe more. We should be ripping all of them, not just picking and choosing. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris never even, and this is supposed to be the party supporting the college students that are cheering Free Palestine, right? That's supposed to be that part. Yeah, you're supporting them, but you're not even asking for a ceasefire to stop the genocide of the people that they're protesting for being murdered. Like, it's goofy.
They are running to demand more and to do more for their neighbors and communities. I know this story well. I first ran for office in 2018 alongside dozens of other Democrats who did the seemingly impossible, flipping 41 seats in Congress. In my case, I was the first Democrat elected in 50 years, swinging our district 17 points. Those who are stepping up now to run will win in November because Americans, you at home, know you can demand more and that we are working to lower costs. We are working to keep our communities and our country safe, and
She keeps saying we are working to keep our community safe. That's what the Democrats are doing. Were they working to keep the community safe when they were forcing you to take that vaccine? When Mark Zuckerberg exposed Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for censoring different posts on his Meta platforms that did not align with what Anthony Fauci and their team were pushing out regarding the vaccine? Were they working hard to protect our safety then? How many experts does it take to come out and say that this vaccine was not a good vaccine? It's causing a whole bunch of health problems. But see, this is the thing. We buy into and support Big Pharma when it's in our interest. But then if Donald Trump's pushing it, just like when Donald Trump was pushing the vaccine. See, I was against the vaccine when Donald Trump was pushing it, and I was against the vaccine when Joe Biden was pushing it. But see, a lot of y'all were against it when Donald Trump was pushing it, saying, oh, it's too soon, it's too fast to create a vaccine, it's too fast. Then as soon as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got in office, I think they released the vaccine either day one or day two that they were in office. All y'all flipped, or a lot of y'all flipped. Why? Because y'all just hate Trump. Oh, well, Joe Biden and Kamala said it's cool now, so it's good. We forget that Donald Trump was actually the one pushing that goofy vaccine. and y'all hated it. But as soon as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden got in there, oh, I feel safer. I feel safer. See, I was consistent when it comes to that. So were you keeping us safe when you were trying to force us to take that vaccine, even people that did not need to take the vaccine, babies, kids, healthy people that did not need to do it, but all y'all were doing, you talk about corruption, that's big pharma corruption. You got Bill Gates on TV telling us about vaccines. You got Anthony Fauci, who was never even trained when it comes to infectious diseases, telling us. You got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris censoring experts. I'm not talking about censoring randoms like me talking about the vaccine. I'm talking about experts, doctors, infectious disease experts that were saying things that contradicted what they were trying to push. They were censoring that information. Was that supposed to keep you safe?
Are working for you. In his farewell address, George Washington warned us about the possibility of, quote, cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men rising to power. But he also encouraged us, all Americans, to unite in a common cause, to move this nation forward. That is our charge once more, and that is what we are seeing across the country. It is deeply American and patriotic to do so, and it is how we ensure that the state of our union remains strong, not just this year, but for the next 250 years as well, because we, the people, have the power to make change, the power to stand up for what is right, the power to demand more of our nation. May God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia, and may God bless the United States of America.
And hold on, let me, so Critical. So real quick, so Critical wrote, giving immunity to vax makers, Trump. Sounds good, right? But then when a quick little Google search, let me actually share the screen with y'all. Let me share the screen real quick. Hold on. Let me see. Let's check it. Let's check it. Let's check to see if that's accurate. If that's an accurate blame for Trump. Did Trump give immunity to vax makers, or was that always the policy? Liability protections for vaccine manufacturers were not a new policy created by Donald Trump. They have been established by federal law for decades. However, the Trump administration invoked a specific existing law in 2020 to apply these protections to COVID-19 vaccines specifically. So this has always been the case with these vaccine manufacturers. They've always had the ability to put out certain vaccines and to not be held liable if something goes wrong. Is that even something that we should trust when it comes to our government? Like if they're giving me any medicine and they're not held liable, I'm not taking that medicine. I'm not taking that medicine. So, and I guess these are some of the earlier ones. It says 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act established a national vaccine, a no-fault system that shields manufacturers of routine childhood vaccines from most lawsuits. So this has been the case. This has been the case. 2005, it says, passed under George W. Bush. This law gives Secretary of Health and Human Services the power to grant nearly blanket immunity to companies during a declared public health emergency. And then Donald Trump did his in 2020. On March 10, 2020, Trump's HHS secretary invoked the PrEP Act to officially provide liability immunity for COVID-19 countermeasures, including vaccines. So it's been going on for a long time. Just wanted to bring that up there. Because sometimes we place a little blame here and there, but it may not necessarily be the full case. All right. So we heard from her. Who's impressed? Who's not impressed? Oh, wait, hold up. Shout out to Samira. Samira, thank you. Appreciate you. Seriously, thank you. Samira said, Dak, I just sent you a video in your email. It's a reel, actually, so it's not long. You should share it. I Googled this, and it's true. Let me know. Is it something that I should play now or something that we should play Friday? Just let me know. I'll check. Which email did you send it to? Dak@og.com? Let me see if I got it over here. Let me see if I got it over here. The cozy. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if you want me to play it. Let me see if I even have Facebook open in this app. That's the only thing. That may be the only thing. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. If you let me know, yeah, let me know, Samira. And oh, now, all right, Samira said now. I paid my $5 and you're gonna play this video now. All right. Let me see. Let me copy link address. Let me see if I can get this up for y'all. Let me see. Oh, this is my dog right here. All right, yeah, this is my dog. I like him. All right, let me pull this video up. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we
go. This is word for word, verbatim, from the Jerusalem Post by Benjamin Netanyahu in 1990. If we get caught, they will just replace us with a person from the same cloth. So it doesn't matter what you do. America is a golden calf, and we will suck it dry, chop it up, and sell it off piece by piece until there is nothing left but the world's biggest welfare state that we create and control. Why? Because it's God's will. And America is big enough to take the hit, so we can do it again and again and again. This is what we do to the countries that we hate. We destroy them very slowly, but we make them suffer for refusing to be our slaves.
Whoa. Hold up. We got to fact check this. Hold up. You said it's been fact checked?
This is who our government is saying is our greatest ally. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, are you okay being a cash cow? Are you okay just being a resource for another country? Are you okay with being used as a tool? That's exactly what Benjamin think you are. And for anybody who can read this or hear this and say, hey, no, that's not the case, you're blind, you're deaf and dumb.
This is word for word, verbatim, from the Jerusalem Post by Benjamin Netanyahu.
They will replace us with a person of the same cloth. I got to look that up. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got to look that up. What was Bibi's speech when he said, if we get caught, they will just replace, in which he referred to America as a cow that he will. We got to look this up. Hold up. We got to look this up. There is no. Okay, so I'm not seeing any verification. Doesn't mean that it's not true. Hold on.
Yahoo in 1990. If we get caught, they will just replace us with a.
What did he say? Because it's God's will. America is a golden calf. All right, let me write that. He made a speech referencing America as the golden calf for Israel. Let's see. So they trying to. I'll show you the screen. They're trying to make it seem like he didn't say that. So doesn't mean he didn't say it. It doesn't mean he didn't say it. Let's be very clear. They're trying to make it seem like he didn't say it. Just like they tried to make it seem like he didn't say after 9/11 that this is a very good thing for Israel. The quote referencing America as a golden calf that Israel will suck dry is a fabricated statement that has circulated on the internet for years. There's no evidence in the public record, news archives, or leaked transcript of Benjamin Netanyahu ever making this speech. That doesn't mean anything. Matter of fact, what's the video of Benjamin Netanyahu? I have seen a video of him sitting. It seems like he's sitting in a living room where he's just talking about how they control America. So what Samira sent over aligns with what Bibi Netanyahu was saying in a video that I did see, where he was talking about how they control certain aspects of America or something like that. This specific rumor typically claims the remarks were made at Fink's Bar in Jerusalem in 1990, pretty specific. However, fact checkers like Snopes have investigated this for over a decade and found no proof of its existence, noting it often appears on fringe or anti-Semitic platforms. Did he deny it? The fake golden calf quote is frequently bundled with real. I feel like, hold on. This how I start talking to AI, just so y'all know. Can you see the full screen? Hold on. Let me move this real quick. This is how I start talking to them, man. Hold up, man. Stop lying. Stop lying. You're biased. I know I'm typing lowercase. You're acting like because they can't prove it that it's not true. Keep digging. Let's see what they got. ChatGPT started talking to me like bro, and that's when I had to switch it up. All right, I understand you're looking for more surface level debunking. There are several controversial leaked recordings and verified statements involving Benjamin Netanyahu and the U.S. that are often confused with the golden calf quote. The verified leaked video in 2010. This may be the video I'm talking about. In 2010, a video surfaced from 2001 showing Netanyahu speaking privately to settlers. This is the source of his most famous comments regarding U.S. manipulation. America is a thing that you can move very easily, he explicitly said. I know what America is. America is a thing you can move very easily, move in the right direction. They won't get in our way. Boasting about the Oslo Accords. In the same video, he bragged about how he de facto put an end to the Oslo Accords by using specific interpretations to stop their implementation. The Fink's Bar. The specific phrasing about milking America dry and the golden calf originates from a story about 1990 Fink's Bar. The claim is the source. This quote is first gained traction through Veterans Today, a site frequently cited for publishing unverified intelligence leaks and conspiracy theories, despite years of searching by journalists and researchers, no recording, transcript, or secondary. I don't know how you would even look that up, but yeah. And conspiracy theorists have been winning. So conspiracy theorists, it holds a different weight now, in my opinion. Like it used to be like, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Now it's like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. They've been winning. They were calling people conspiracy theorists about the vaccine. They were calling people conspiracy theorists about Epstein, calling conspiracy theorists about certain things with 9/11, certain things with JFK. They're doing it with Charlie Kirk right now. And speaking of Charlie Kirk, hold up. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, I don't know if all y'all follow Candace Owens, but Candace Owens, I think she took a little bit of a break and she will be back today. And I want to share this that she put up. This is all she wrote. Hold on, let me show y'all very clearly. All she wrote is, we'll be back on Wednesday. And this is the video that she put up.
President Trump says that Kirk has died after he was shot from a nearby building.
After being shot at Utah Valley University.
The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
I didn't even get to give him a kiss goodbye.
That young man, I forgive him.
Take your time.
Erica Kirk has been named the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead.
It's weird to say excited.
Describes her husband's funeral as the event of the century. Merch, hats.
We have 50,000 plus hat orders.
Nobody knows why she's out there in a glittering pantsuit in a recreated tent that her husband tragically was murdered in, throwing merch out.
Everyone grieves differently, so if someone's acting weird, don't read into that.
Zionists, the Prime Minister of Israel, all lied through their teeth about Charlie Kirk.
Her operation was in Constanta, the epicenter of Romania's trafficking scandal.
Weird conversations to have with a 15-year-old. I'm going to touch your butt.
$8.6 million to their own shell company.
What is going on?
We have nothing to hide. My aunt used to tell me, never do something that you don't want on the front page of a newspaper.
This ain't gonna be good for Erica. That's the feeling that I'm getting, because when Candace does like these type of series, stuff gets put out there, and some of the stuff is going to get put out there that may not be true. And she may say, okay, this was presented to us, and then they'll do their fact checking. But a lot of people, once they may not see, the entire process to where it was proven, okay, this isn't true. So this is going to be, Yeah, Candace. The more I hear Candace and Erica Kirk, I understand that Candace is doing this because she was a friend of Charlie, but yeah, you can't. Women take their friends very. You get the Candace on your. I would hate to have be on Candace's bad side, man. With her doing research and looking up all type of. This is gonna be yeah. I don't even know how I feel completely about this. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I don't know how I feel about this, but and I don't typically watch Candace's show. Maybe I'll check out this first show, and this will be one of those shows where Candace's ratings are, of course, like off the chart. She'll have hundreds of thousands of people watching her live. Is Candace doing it just because of a grift? I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure she appreciates the amount of money that comes in when she does these type of investigative series. I don't know whatever happened. I guess she's done with the Charlie Kirk for now, and now she's just focusing on Erica. But it'll be interesting to see how this stuff plays out. Very interested to see how this plays out. So I was talking to y'all earlier, and I don't want to waste any more time on Trump, if it's cool with you guys. I do have I had a fact-checking video, but do y'all want to watch a fact-checking video based on his speech? Or maybe I could save that to the end if we have some time. We'll go through some of the fact checks, but I wanted to cover a couple other things as well. So first, let's take a look at that hot mic moment that I was telling y'all about. Let's take a look at this hot mic moment. I actually want to look at a different, I want the full screen. Hold on. Let me get a full screen version of this. Let me get a full screen version of this Hunter College situation. Hunter College professor. Oh, man. She's in some hot water. All right, here we go. Let me share this tab instead. So this is a lady, Allison Friedman. Allison Friedman, she works with Hunter College. That's one of the, is that a CUNY or a SUNY? It's either a City University of New York or State University of New York. I think it's a CUNY. So as a child was speaking about not losing her UWS school, an adult cuts her off. Hold on, we got to figure out. I don't know what UWS is. Let me actually look up. What is a UWS school? What is a UWS school? All right. Oh, Upper West Side. Damn, just write Upper West Side. Like how are we supposed? I'm supposed to know UWS means Upper West Side. Like, come on, bro. Speak to people. You're not just speaking to people in Manhattan. All right. So as a child was speaking about not losing her Upper West Side school, an adult cut her off, unaware that the whole meeting could hear them. They're too dumb to know they're in a bad school. If you train a black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. All right. I can't front, man. When I heard this, I was laughing. I can't front. All right, let's and I don't know if that's bad or good. I was laughing at this. Let's take a listen. Oh, is this not the video? I'm gonna put this up and not have the video. Hold on. Let me get the actual. Let me just use the video that I had. I wanted to get a widescreen, but it is what it is. All right, let's take a look.
On Fridays, he delivers lessons and helps us fit those skills into our lessons.
Schools that
They're
too dumb to know they're in a bad school.
Independent in our class.
I mean, but apparently Martin Luther King said it. Like, if you train a black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore. They just
Allison Friedman, what you're saying is absolutely hearable here. You've got to stop.
I think it goes on a little bit.
I'm sorry, sweetie. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
Me and many of the students in our classes and with that
Allison Friedman, she's still working. She still got her job based on the post that I saw. You know why I was laughing? I was laughing because I like when people get exposed, like people show their true colors. The very people that you're relying on to educate you, right? It's the Hunter College professor. A lot of people, she's probably one of these liberals that Malcolm X was talking about. These liberals that are the fox, right? The difference between the fox and wolves, right? The wolf, you know, is coming to eat you. The fox, when they show their teeth, it's a little bit different. You think they're smiling at you. This is how I see liberals. This is how I see Democrats. They'll say all of these amazing things, like they'll say stuff like what Vons was saying earlier. These people are disadvantaged. What did she say wrong? What did she say wrong? She said that, what did she say? That they're too dumb to realize that the school is not good. Let's listen to it again. Let's listen to it again. I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again.
On Fridays. He delivers lessons and helps us fit those skills into our lessons.
Black schools that like
This helps
they're too dumb to know they're in a bad school.
They're too dumb to know they're in a bad school. Perhaps a lot of us are too dumb to realize that a lot of these schools are bad for us. That a lot of these schools that we turn our kids over for free babysitting are not teaching our kids properly. Perhaps a lot of us are too dumb to understand that. And if a teacher's telling you you're in a bad school, or if a college professor's talking about a high school saying like, yo, that's a bad school, I don't know what they're judging it based on. I don't know whether it's based on reading levels, math scores, test scores in other areas. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But I love when people expose themselves. Tell me exactly what you feel about me. And I wish more, she's a white lady. And I'm assuming she's a liberal. She may not be. Let me actually look that up. Let's look it up. Is Allison Friedman from Hunter College a Democrat? Let's see. They should be able to look this type of stuff up. While there is a high-profile Allison Friedman who has run for office as Democrat, different person. Allison Friedman role, she's an associate professor in the Department of Biological Sciences at Hunter College. Political affiliation is not publicly documented in official party records or voter registrations available to the general public. So there's a different Allison Friedman. So it's not known for this particular Allison Friedman. But let's put her out there. Here she go right here. So this is Allison Friedman. So you're just aware. Thank you. Thank you for showing your true colors. I appreciate it. I appreciate honesty. Tell me exactly how you feel about me. And perhaps that'll wake people up to our opinion and perspective on a lot of these public schools and who we're turning our kids over to even in college. And I feel like it's safe to say, I mean, based on the numbers, most of these college professors are liberals, are Democrats, just across the board. So whether she is or not, I wish I'd be able to prove it, but can't. But let's get back to the video. I want to pay attention to the next part of what she said.
I mean, apparently Martin Luther King said it. Like, if you train a Black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore.
Apparently, if you train a Black person, they'll know to use the back. This sounds like a lot of what we speak about. What did we just talk about on the show the other day? How Black people during segregation were fighting to go eat at the back of white restaurants, to go pick your food up in the back. You're going to eat by the kitchen. We're going to set you up in a little room. You can't eat with everybody else. But Black people just trying to break their necks to go support businesses that don't even like them, don't even want them there, and leaving the businesses that actually do support them, that do feed them, that otherwise they wouldn't even be able to eat. But this is the social conditioning. So I'm glad. See, this is what when Vons was talking about you're disadvantaged, you're because you're in poverty, you're all this other stuff. That's all the victim stuff that these Democrats and liberals feed into. They bank on that. I'd rather somebody compete and try to slit my throat rather than somebody else looking at me on my team like, oh yeah,
you know, we can't expect them to be able to compete on their own. They're a little bit disadvantaged. You know, they're a little bit behind the ball. You know, those people. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh, well, yeah, I know they're just, well, they had slavery and they had all this other stuff. Yeah, well, a lot of people had say, yeah, I know, but, and they were doing better actually after slavery, but, you know, that's when they were forced to, you know, do stuff on their own. They were forced to unite, forced to have their own communities, forced to support their own communities, forced to circulate their dollar in their communities. But once desegregation happened, they just ran over to, you know, they just need us to lead them. They're just lost. They're just lost niggas. Like, we can't expect that much from them. Like, here, look at them. Look at the migrants come in here and they don't even speak the language and they do better than that. But they're disadvantaged. Like, they actually listen to the rappers. The rappers lead them. The rappers determine their culture. Like, they listen to them. Like, yeah, all we got to do is put Cardi B on stage or Meg Thee Stallion, and they'll actually vote for us. They think that what we're doing is in their best interest. We just think so less of them that we convince them that they're less than, and therefore they bank on us because we're the only ones that will acknowledge in front of the world that, hey, these black people need help. We can't expect them to compete with us white people. They're disadvantaged. Like, what? This is the mindset. This is we get tricked into. And look at everybody's face on there. Look at everybody's face. Look at everybody's face when look at the girl in the top left right here, and then look at her right here. Her reaction's a little bit delayed, but look at her. Look at my man right here. Take a look at this again.
Apparently, Martin Luther King said it. Like, if you train a black person well enough, they'll know to use the back. You don't have to tell them anymore. They're just
Allison Friedman, what you're saying is absolutely hearable here. You've got to stop.
Is it false though? I don't care if it's hearable. Is it false? Is it wrong? Is it a lie? And now the lie is probably, I don't think MLK said that based on what I looked up on Google. He may have said it. He may have said it. Seems like a lot of leaders would say it. I could easily hear Malcolm X saying it. I could easily hear Malcolm X saying this about black people. It is true. Black people have been trained. Look at how Von's got on here saying that disadvantaged. We've been trained to think that we are disadvantaged. We've been trained to believe that we are less than. We've been trained to believe that we need a Democratic Party in order for us to be successful in this country. We've been trained that way. Lyndon B. Johnson and his social programs, he said it. He'll have niggas voting Democrat for the next 100 years. So what did she say was a lie? Hot mic or not, I'm glad she said it. I'm glad she said it. I'm glad she said it. And I find it funny that it just came out this way. It is what it is. All right, so let me catch up. I see Unc wrote something. This is exactly my point when I say that some people are trained to be poor people, nephew. So the point that we keep arguing about is the same fact that you're laying out right now. Well, I think what you and I go back and forth on is a little bit different. And yes, we're being trained, but like that's a decision that you make. Like, we're all being manipulated. Somebody manipulating me is not an excuse that I make for being manipulated. You get what I'm saying? Like, somebody trying to finesse me. Like, I don't just get finessed into doing something dumb that's not in my best interest and say, oh, well, they finessed me. I'm a man. I'm a grown-up. I'm an adult. It is our responsibility as adults and as parents to make sure that we're not getting manipulated and passing these manipulations on to the next generation of kids. Whether it's religion, whether it's education, whether it's things about poverty and being disadvantaged, all these different areas. That is our duty. But we fall into it. We fall victim to it. And therefore, we pass down that same victim mindset to the young kids. See, where other people look at their position of poverty and say, yo, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. We look at poverty as, oh, we can get some social programs. We need social programs to help us because the playing field's not level. No, you're going to fall in love with those social programs. You're going to fall in love with not having to work for those crumbs rather than having to develop hunting skills and going out and hunting and eat what you kill. If you always are going to accept crumbs, then you will always be a slave to whoever is giving you those crumbs.
It's just a fact. So perhaps this is why Black people have to depend on the government so much, because we are a slave to receiving those crumbs, because we don't want to do what it takes to figure shit out on our own so we won't have to depend on those crumbs. People did it before us. We do realize that before segregation, we were actually forced to do it on our own. Everybody want to celebrate Black Wall Street. Well, yeah, we were forced to have Black Wall Street. Now that we're not forced, we want that white ice, that white water. It's colder. It's filtered better. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. And Unc hit the nail on the head. A weak mind, is it a weak mind, or is it a weak mind? A person that is able to be given lunch every day for his life will never work for dinner. Person that's given lunch, they never gonna work. Figure it out, bro. We got to figure it out. Every other group, it's not even every other group. People who are successful, they figure it out. People who are not successful, they tend to just fall back into the victim narrative. Across the board, whether it's white, Black, it doesn't matter. If you embrace this mindset that Black people have overwhelmingly embraced more than other groups, we feel that America owes us something. Well, we were enslaved, slavery, bro. Like, since when do losers get trophies? You lost, you were conquered. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you lost, you were conquered, you were taken. In a perfect world, would you get some sort of reparations? Yeah, well, we've seen what type of reparations are you going to get? In the form of social programs? They don't work. Even if you're entitled to them, even if you feel you're entitled to them, it's shown it doesn't work. See, we should be looking at the position that we're in as a rallying cry. Use it as a rallying cry to unite, to build, to demand more of ourselves. Instead, we use it as a rallying cry to ask Democrats to give us more social programs, to make healthcare more affordable. We want healthcare to be more affordable for when we get sick and are dying early, but we don't want to address big pharma. We don't want to address the food that we're eating. We don't want to work out. We are so backwards in our thinking. So backwards in our thinking. Oh, if healthcare is so important, when's the last time you worked out? If healthcare is so important, when's the last time you worked out? If healthcare is so important, why is the average Black woman 185 pounds? And I hate to just target it, but it is what it is. You have to call out this stuff. If healthcare is so important, why is the average Black woman 185 pounds? I thought your health was so important. Oh, you just want somebody else to pay for you making bad decisions and developing bad habits. So now you need medicine or things that you can't afford. So now you want everybody else to pay for that shit. I don't want to pay for it. You think I feel like going to the gym when I go to the gym? No, but I still do. All right, let's but the Jewish community were losers who got a huge trophy. No, Dutch, they're not losers. See, they figured out a way to make their bad situation a rallying cry. They've bullied people into not only giving reparations, but they also have the mindset that turns those social programs that they use and get benefits from into something positive. When Black people got their stimulus check, do you think that they did the same thing with their stimulus checks that Jewish people did with it? No, we got to stop acting as if, well, they got trophies. We've gotten reparations. We may not have gotten them in the forms that we wanted, but if you're poor, like you get reparations. A lot of white people who get social programs, you call that reparations. It's what you do with it. See, Jewish people when I was at a brisk, when they're doing the circumcision of the boy, they end every single event. They tried to kill us and we're still here. So they lean into the victim mentality as well. They just use it in a different way. They don't rely on Democrats in order to do for them. They use their victimhood and they put foot on necks themselves. They're pushing the line themselves. They're not asking Democrats to do it. They're not falling victim to this dumb political system, putting all their eggs in a Democratic basket. They're controlling both Republicans and Democrats. There's a difference. This is why I always say we need to learn from the Jewish community. We need to learn from how the LGBTQ community. Joe Biden, when he was running for election, he said his number one priority was the LGBTQ community. So how are all these groups with such small populations able to leverage their unity together in order to get shit done, but black people can't? Who have black people been loyal to? Black people have been very loyal to the Democrats. Perhaps more loyal. Is there another group of people that has been more loyal to a political party than black people being loyal to the Democrats? So when we look back and say, damn, how have we not gotten anything done? Well, who have you been loyal to? Who have you invested in? Isn't that how we look at investments? What has been the return on your investment? Who have you invested in? Oh, you haven't gotten anything in return? Well, who are you invested in? Maybe you should pick another vehicle to invest in. It's common sense. It's common sense. I don't understand. I don't understand. The Native Americans have their own land as well. They got their territories. Why haven't black people? Are black people pushing for that? You know the difference? I saw white people. You know the difference between black people and everybody else? I saw a bunch of white people when they were sick of living around everybody. They said, we're just going to go buy up some land and develop our own community. Black people, we still begging Democrats. We still begging the people that use us the most to help us. Don't y'all realize that if black people are doing well, it's no different than the church. You tend to go to church more when you're down on your luck, right? You need Jesus a little bit more. But when you up, you're like, oh, you know, I'll catch it on TV. Or I'll catch the Zoom, or I'll catch it later. I want to go out Saturday night. Life is good. I'm not going to get up early for church. It's the same thing with the Democrats. If your life becomes better, you become less dependent on the Democratic Party. The only reason why the Democrats have us on the hook like they do is because we're not getting better. They know that. So why would they ever want to improve our lives if the only way that they'll have power over us and have more of a, let's say, loyalty from us is when we're not doing good? Isn't that common sense? This is like common sense to me. I just don't understand it. 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 But to each their own, I guess. To each their own. People gonna figure it out or not figure it out. It's that's on us, I guess. All right, let's got another video real quick. Another video. So this is when we talk about propaganda. This video made me think about this. Yeah, but overall, I get so fed up with all the victimhood. I get so fed up with all the victimhood. It's bad. It's bad. We got to do better. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is a whistleblower from BBC. I believe it's from BBC. Hold on. Yeah, a BBC whistleblower revealed that BBC has direct instructions to safeguard Israel's image. Take a look at this.
Israel has a right to defend itself. That was the editorial line that was drilled into us, into all of our coverage. It was really an integral part of the editorial stance. To a guest talking about, Israeli airstrikes killing Palestinians in Gaza, that would be the response from our presenters.
Denying access to food is collective punishment, and that we should all be clear in saying that.
Israel will argue, obviously, that it has a right to defend itself.
People were terrified of using the word genocide in coverage. They still are. You will very rarely see it in any BBC coverage. And if an interviewee says the word genocide,
this is a genocide happening in front of our eyes.
That word is, as you know, incredibly emotive, and the Israelis, as you know, will be saying that they are targeting Hamas only.
The presenter will almost always panic.
The Labour Party, of all political parties, which has always had a strong peace contingent within it, is now actually supporting genocide.
Okay, we can maybe just avoid that language if that's okay.
It's been going on for a very long time. It's
It's been going on for a very long time. It's just more of the same when it comes to all this genocide talk, when it comes to silencing certain people. Like, choose different language for what? Why am I choosing different language? This is how we're manipulated and controlled. Choose different. Propaganda has controlled the way that we look at things. So it's no surprise, whether it's Israel, whether it's anything else, that people are able to control us like puppets, right? They're able to pull our strings in different ways. They know exactly, oh, well, if we say this, they're going to look at it like this. They know how this works. So, yeah. All right, we're going to leave it there. Add a couple other videos, but we're going to hold off on those if that's okay with y'all. I'm still tired from hearing Trump talk yesterday. But let's get into our box breathing. We're going to get into our box breathing. Do me a favor, if you are getting ready to leave, hold on. If you are getting ready to leave, like on your way out, like on your way out. And I suggest that you stay. We need the box breathing. But if you are getting ready to head out of here, like on your way out. We appreciate it. All right, so let me put this in. Is there a full screen for this? Hold on. No, full screen. All right, we won't do it. All right, so as you can hear, the bell, it already rung. What I'll do is I'll actually reset it. So when you hear that first bell, you're going to do an inhale in which we're intentionally focusing on inhaling positive energy, anything that's going to uplift, anything that's going to give confidence, anything that's going to have us with the mindset of so much confidence that we don't even care what perceived disadvantages that we have. We're not looking at that victimship. We're not, even if the glass is only 10% full, I'm focusing on how I can turn that 10% into 11%. I'm not focusing on, well, what if the 90% of nothing there goes down to, goes up to 91%? Now only, no. We're focusing on the positive, all right? We're focusing on where we need to be going. Shout out to Mama Lay. She always says focusing on the positive. And when I say focusing on the positive, what I really mean is focusing on the things that are within our control. That 10% that's in that cup, that's within our control. We need to figure out what we can do with that, all right? Rather than focusing on the 90% that's not in our control. So that's the mindset. If that's what you embrace, cool. If not, whatever brings you positive thoughts, that's going to have you coming out of this breath exercise with a confident mindset, ready to attack the day. That's what I suggest. So we're going to do an inhale, then we're going to hold, and then we're going to do an exhale in which we're intentionally focusing on releasing any negative limiting energy. And get any victim energy that you have in you, release it. Release it. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't do any good. So let's start with our box breathing. If you're in a safe place, close your eyes, either follow the dot or follow the sound. And we're going to start with an inhale. Positive energy. Hold it. And then we release the negative. Any of that victim, get that victim energy out. All right. Y'all know what we come here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards. Raising our standards to never focus on being a victim. It doesn't do us any good, especially when we have the men in our communities that are supposed to be the leaders embracing this victim energy. It's weak and it gets us nowhere.
Raise our standards. Let's demand more of ourselves. Why? Because better is required. Like my old coach used to say, good is good until better is required. Well, I think looking around in society, we can look at ourselves, all of us, right? And say better is required. We've reached that point. So let's raise our standards to become the best leaders, followers, playing whatever role we need to play in order to accomplish whatever that better looks like for you. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Let's get to the bag. Let's figure out what we're going to focus on. Figure out what's going to be our North Star, what's going to be our guardrails along this journey. All right, because that's going to ultimately be, when it comes to our impact on this world that we're going to make as we're living in our purpose, striving for purposeful abundance, the things that we're focused on, those are going to determine the outcome and how we're willing to overcome certain things. All of these things, like we're putting it all in one. So we like to call it our personal legend. You call it whatever you want, your purpose, whatever it is. The goal is to strive for that purposeful abundance. Now, the things that I like to focus on are peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity. Got to add balance and got to add that sprinkle of perspective, big sprinkle of perspective. So, all right, let me see. Let's shout out to Todd. What's up, Todd? First time seeing you tune in. Maybe I've seen you before, but appreciate you commenting. So Todd wrote, you want positivity? You start out with God's word in the Bible. A relationship with Jesus is the only way to achieve positivity. I 100% disagree, but that is definitely one way. But to say it is the only way, I think that's actually part of the problem. Let everybody find whatever way works for them. Jesus works for you. It's not your job to determine what works for somebody else, all right? Jesus was passed down to you. That doesn't mean that people weren't believing in other spiritual or religions before that. So 100%, you can push Jesus, but when you say that it's the only thing, I 100% disagree. Even though I believe that Jesus was an amazing person, and I believe that Jesus was such an amazing person that Jesus would also disagree with that statement. But if you look in the Bible and maybe it says what Jesus says, cool. But I'm just speaking from my standpoint. I'm speaking, everybody can have a relationship with God themselves, all right? Everybody, you determine what your relationship is going to be. You determine what you need in order to become the best version of yourself. So that's where I stand when it comes to that. Shout out to Finn. Become harder to defeat than yesterday. Not louder, not luckier, just better. The world does not reward intention. It rewards those who have discipline. I like that. I like that. I like that. Progress belongs to those who look forward long enough to become the person who arrives. Woo. Progress belongs to those who look forward long enough to become the person who arrives. I love that. I love that. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Let's figure it out. Let's build. Let's one step every day, 1% better. 1% better. And we'll get to our goals. Appreciate all y'all. And I'll see y'all Friday, 8 a.m. But definitely tap in. We'll have a bunch of different videos going up before that on Friday. So I'll see y'all soon.